Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of B2B Outbound Marketing and Sales Automation Tools. As you know by now, my name is Dancho, and we really work hard at BSB to find the best tools out there that could help you automate your marketing/sales outreach. And for today, I actually have a special guest. We have Adil from UK, and he's actually the co-founder of Lix. So, Adil, welcome to the show.
Hi, very happy to be here.
Yeah, I was actually excited to get you on the call because before the meeting, I was looking at your software and the data that you're actually collecting. And I was like, wow, this could save quite a lot of time, if you ask me. But instead of jumping into the software, maybe you want to give us a big background about yourself, Adil, who you are and what you do?
Yep. So my name is Adil. So thank you very much for introducing me. I'm based in London, born and raised in London in England. And I sort of took quite a roundabout way of getting in tech, which was I was actually training to be a lawyer. I was in what I call the waiting room for law firms. So I was just about to start a training contract. And at the time, I was working on some machine learning algorithms in my spare time for video games, actually. And I was also just sort of doing all projects, picking up a sort of childhood passion I had for programming, picking it back up. Funny thing was, I happened to bump into my next door neighbor. I say bump in. I took over an Amazon package for him. And while I was getting to know him, I found out that he was working at a big software company, and he was putting together marketing lists to get people to join his conference. This was back in 2015. So 2015 is quite a while ago now. And it was this great thing called LinkedIn. Which allowed you to, find all these people who might be interested in either speaking at a conference or coming to a conference. And, it was just so hard to get that information off LinkedIn and put it somewhere where our team could actually get in touch with them. So, I liked a bit of a challenge, and I was sort of getting back into programming, and I dusted off my Python and JavaScript skills. And I thought, I'm going to code this up for him. So I ended up making a tool that could get information off LinkedIn. And so that's how Lix started. I made it for a friend. So, they say solve a problem you have or solve a problem someone you know has had. And that's really how that came about. And I ended up, for other reasons, I ended up leaving the law world. Well, mostly because my machine learning stuff was kind of taking off. The video game company that I was making the algorithm for invited me out. Sorry if this is going way too far on the life story. I thought it all leads up to a point, so I thought I'd just go straight at it. So I ended up going, okay, well, I don't have any paid time off, so I'm going to leave this firm, and I'm going to go pursue tech. So I left, went for 3 months, went to San Francisco, came back full of life and ideas, and I thought, okay, I'm going to join a machine learning company in the UK. And then I joined a consultancy and a data science sort of consultancy. And how do I put it? They train PhDs how to become data scientists. And joined that company. Ended up working with them for about 3 years. And I had Lix, which I formed as a company as a side hustle this entire time. Mm-hmm. I ended up meeting my two current co-founders there. And it hit 2020. And I thought, hey, Lix is doing quite well. And actually, we saw this really interesting opportunity where the amount of business data that was going onto the internet had suddenly skyrocketed. So we thought, let's make a good go of this and make this into a proper company. So it was only about 2020 when I said, okay, I've left the previous company. I've got honed my product skills. And now we're going to start this properly. So we refounded the company in 2020, and Lix has been going since then. So a bit of a roundabout way to get into tech, but it's been a fun one so far.
Yeah, but you actually choose the more lucrative route, because a lawyer would be far more boring than machine learning, especially in 21st century now when everything is toward tech. I think you made a good deal there, Adil.
I think I made the right decision too. I'll put it that way. Not to denigrate law. I like the profession. I think law is super interesting, and I think in terms of problem solving, all that stuff, it's great. It's just not for me. In the end.
Yeah, I completely understand you. And I was curious while looking at the leaks. There are a lot of automation tools out there. So, Adil, how is leaks positioned on the market? Is it a data scraping solution? Is it a data integration? Is it a Chrome extension, or is it a desktop app? So, can you give us a bit more information about the tool?
Yeah, absolutely. So we mainly operate in a Chrome extension. We also have an API. And what we really do is provide tools, we provide products that make it really simple to get information that you need to build lists, build prospecting lists, and do that at a scale, do that at scale and do it quickly. We think that's how we differentiate ourselves from everybody else. What we are is really simple and easy to use for individuals and teams. So when I started out at Lix and when I started out making the product and I was at this company, I worked really closely with the sales team. I was a software engineer at the beginning, and I was making a lot of tools for them as well to optimize what they were doing. So it really came out of some work that we were doing there. And I couldn't really understand why, there was all this information online and it was so difficult to access. So Lix was built around bulk exporting, and it was about getting the team at Pivogo, where I was at, sort of being able to use it really, really quickly. So one of the things that sales managers have told me that they really, really want and is actually their sales team to use the product. So many times they sort of, they work from the top down. There's some company comes in, sells them a big product, and they've sort of realized that half the sales team aren't using it. With Lix, we never really find that's a problem. It's so simple and easy to use that you can jump onto LinkedIn, really get all the information and all the sort of contact details that you need at scale very, very quickly. The other, speed and easy to use is one thing. The other thing is we're based in Europe, on the continent of Europe, but we are subject to GDPR, and we think that privacy first is really, really important. So we do contact information, email addresses. We make sure we're aligned with GDPR and all of that stuff. But also, we also generate all of our emails in-house and in real time. So we have a great algorithm that can generate, and so it's actually a generative AI, really. It generates emails at scale and does that as you export. And I'm sure we'll come to that, but we think that's unique on the market rather than having a very large database. So yeah, that's where we fit.
Nice. So Adil, the leaks is actually a way to extract data from LinkedIn on leads and then enrich them with some additional information which are not available on LinkedIn, like the emails that you're generating. And then you can give that to the sales team so they can actually start calling rather than manually copy pasting the data from the LinkedIn.
Absolutely. It's a 10x improvement on just getting information, 100x. You can get so much more data. And also we do add some, my background is in machine learning, my co-founder's background is in machine learning. We have some sort of spice we put on top to make a little bit of extra more useful information. So there's that too, and we'll come to that.
Sure. Well, Adil, I would love to see behind the scene, and if you could just show us what kind of data collection you can actually do with Leaks, so the audience can actually see if they're using what's the flow. I would really appreciate it.
Sure. Of course. Yeah. Let me just share my screen here. Yeah. So this is the Lixit website, but generally, we find that people who are using the product use LinkedIn, so we operate almost entirely in LinkedIn itself. It's a Chrome extension that you can install off the store today. It's available. And when you jump in here, the way everything works is it tends to work around searches. Searches are the easiest way to get bulk information. Yeah. We work with getting information from people searches, from company searches, from job searches, from group searches, pretty much any search that's on LinkedIn, we can then turn into a spreadsheet. So that you can access that information and you can upload and connect that information to wherever you like. So let's just do a search here for human resources. And let's select a people search, because then I can show you how the email system works as well. Mm-hmm. And then you can see here the Lix icon is activated. It's just up here in the corner. You click that and our toolbar drops down.
Lixit, a catchy phrase.
Yeah, exactly. You can Lix it. And so a couple of the options here, I'm just going to hit Lix it and I can talk about it. It's going to take a minute or so to export. Yeah. So if you click there, So I've enabled the email finder. As I mentioned, this does real-time email finding. We use the domain from our database, and we use common patterns that people might have. We produce business emails, but we also do some interesting things with, we generate the emails. So we can do interesting things with numbers, where people sometimes have first name at company.com. We also do, numbers, and we'll test those numbers, and we find out where those unique things work at companies. So you have quite a high success rate with us. And ultimately what that does is allow you to protect your IP, especially because we operate at scale. We have, we're getting 200 now. You can get, 1,000 from standard search. And then you can combine all those searches together into one list. On Sales Navigator, you get 2,500 out. And you can get much more data with Sales Navigator per day as well. And then you can tie all those lists together.
And Adil, you can actually use Sales Navigator with the more advanced search filters and search criteria. And then with the same extension, you can just list it.
Correct. Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah. So you can use Sales Navigator. One of the best things I think about Lix is that we offer some interesting machine learning on top. So you can do things like find out what seniority someone is in within a company. You can find out what division of the company they work in as well. And you can do that to make a very, very large list, filter it down, and then you can split up, maybe one team within the company or within your agency. One person could be responsible for these types of leads. One person could be responsible for people who are in HR, etc. So that's finished. It took a minute or so. It wasn't very, very long. And generally it's fast with much larger scrapes as well, web crawls as well. We find that when people say what they love about Lix, the fact is it's the fastest one they've used. So that's great. I am going to use a pre-made one. The reason is that I've redacted some of the emails. So, we are very privacy conscious. I want to make sure we're not just sending emails out into the ether. So, but this is what this one actually looks like. I did this one earlier. And you can see that we've got all the information from the search. And then we clean up the name so that if you're doing a mail merge, you can get the information straight off there, throw it into a spreadsheet, throw it into your automation tool for emailing or something like that. I watched a couple of your videos before as well. Some of those look excellent. You could definitely integrate some of the previous tools you mentioned with this, and it will be able to load it up, and you'll be able to get use out of it straight away. We send the email deliverability. If we say it's valid, we're 99% sure it's valid. It's going to be deliverable. We've also got the description, and let me just sort of zoom in and point out something here. So we also add in the seniority. So this uses sort of not all the information on the profile. So it uses not just the job title, but also their progression through a company. If they've been there for a while, we all sort of say they might be a little bit more senior. So, you're going to getting good data out of here. And honestly, sort of often it's better than what you might get out of Sales Navigator. So we find that even though we filter with Sales Navigator, they use quite a broad brush way of doing things. We tend to use ours.
You're actually inventing additional data that is not available on LinkedIn.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And then, you can see that everybody here is in human resources. So yeah, you get a spreadsheet here. You can then use all this information, update your internal CRM. A lot of people use Lix just very simply to get information from LinkedIn into their team CRM. And it's the quickest way to do that. And we love it for that. So that's really good. Now let me jump back. I can show you a quick Sales Navigator one. I'll do the same thing.
Yeah, the advantage is on Sales Navigator, you can go with industries, you can go with far more specific.
Yeah, absolutely. So, from an agency perspective, you have to, you get the advantages of the really, really granular search. But then you can do something with Lix, which is you can actually make a list. So lists are really, really helpful for combining lots of things together. So if I put create a new project, and I've got 3 pages of this is on Sales Navigator, there's 25 results per page, so 75. This will export.
Is there a limit, Adil, on how many you can scrape?
Yeah, so per day on standard, it's 10,000. It's a huge number.
Yeah, that's more than enough. And on the Sales Navigator?
And Sales Navigator is 25,000. We actually find that it's a bit more than 25,000, but we try very hard to make sure the accounts that are kind of under our shepherding, under our purview, like they're really protected. We're proud to say we've never had an account banned using licks. At least that's been said to us, and usually, people are pretty vocal when their accounts get suspended.
Yeah, of course. I'm building my profile for so long, but that was my curious, because if you download 25,000 records, it is a lot. And of course, LinkedIn is not very keen to automation tools that are collecting data, but that means that you figure out a way how to make it without raising any red flags.
Yeah, exactly. And in the crawling and scraping world, it's called politeness, and we make sure we're polite. One of the things we do is we don't want to hammer LinkedIn servers. We don't want to be, getting it as fast as we can, not just because they can detect it really easily, but just also because, running a website, like it's pretty hard to keep some of these things operational with the amount of scale that it requires. And I think I feel for them at LinkedIn, because I know there's a lot of the data is really valuable. I wish it wasn't all at LinkedIn, but people want to, they're not going to be able to make an integration for absolutely every single piece of software, and it's up to us to kind of make sure that we can connect the information that's available and put it in other places. So I'm going to connect another one. Let's just do CEO, and what you could do here is you can then connect that. So I can use this previous search, and again, I can export that. So then you can start to make very, very large lists. So I mentioned 25,000 in one day. I mean, we've got people that have hundreds of thousands of people in their lists. They update in the background using your account if you want them to. And then you can get sort of up-to-date data and connect that into your CRM. So it's very, very useful, and get up-to-date contact information. I mean, we know that a third of people leave and change companies every 3 years. So having up-to-date information is really important, and it's very, it's surprising how quickly your database can get out of date.
Especially now with the COVID and with the other crises that hit, there were a lot of changes in jobs.
Yeah, exactly. And it's only going to get, I mean, unemployment is fairly low at the moment, surprisingly, at least in America and in the UK. Whether that will change, I don't know. But my point is that there are a lot of people changing jobs, a lot of people filtering out to different things, and we have some sort of separate products which deal just with that. We have customers who connect their LinkedIn accounts with our service, use the API to then update their CRMs in real time as changes happen. So that's an option as well if you want it. And if you want that, then someone could just get in touch.
Nice. But when you're exported, it's like a CSV that can be then connected to another outreach automation tool, or it can be plugged into a CRM to add it to your CRM.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we say we have CSV, we have Excel. We've done a lot of custom integrations. We've used Bullhorn. We've used Trisys. We've connected with Salesforce. Of course, customers tend to come to us and say, "Hey, you've got a good API. You can connect this. Can you do an integration for us?" And we say, "Of course." So those things we're hoping to make generally available. It kind of depends on how much people want them. So if people do want them, get in touch and let us know that you want a CRM integration. We'll prioritize that.
Nice.
But yeah, I just combined those two lists I had, and you can see that I've merged these two lists together, and then you can sort of imagine that you can start making very, very large lists and then reaching out, and then with our guarantee that if it's a valid email, then you're going to get 99% deliverability. You're going to be protecting your IP address. You can start to do this stuff at scale. So that can be very, very useful. Let me also walk through how enrichment works. So another thing that you can do, you want data. I did a smaller human resources search earlier, but the information that I can get out of that, I get what's on the search page. Sometimes you need a lot more information. You want to find out what their last job was. You might want to do this for market intelligence. You might want to do this to sort of analyze markets you're going into. You can do a search on LinkedIn, but there's only so much information you can get from a search. With enrichment, you can get a lot more information, and then you can use that to do, drill down a bit deeper. So I can just click enrich here. And this is using my account in the background to then go query these profiles, get a bit more information, and then connect those into a sheet. So I get a lot more data. So we'll let that finish.
Now you're actually going on the profile of each the people in order to collect the additional information. And previously, you were just scraping from the search results because that were the available data, the name, the position, and the job role, right?
Exactly. So this is going a little bit further into the profile. I mean, the simple answer is like what's on a profile on LinkedIn, you can get out if you can see it. And then we find that people who use this tend to be going, okay, well, I want to look at a company and I want to see what distribution of titles there are, or I want to make sure that I get someone who's had experience in a machine learning, for instance, and they can go back through their profile and do searches that way. We find that recruiters use this a lot as well. So if I download that, and then we've got a lot more information. So this one's, let me just format this. Yeah, and so you get
with education, education 1, 2, 3, experience 1, 2, 3.
Exactly.
Yeah, you can play with the style of the spreadsheet, but the data is here.
Exactly. And then you can feed this into an analysis if you want to get a bit more information, or you could just put it directly into a CRM. We find recruiters use this feature a lot.
Nice. Adil, we have to be also time aware. I was also curious about partnership opportunities. You mentioned you have the API. So that's one way how people can actually, in addition, use the tool, especially if they're building their own solution or they need some integration with it. But are there any other alternative partnership opportunities like affiliates or white label options or stuff, or you don't do those kind of things?
There are two sort of things that we think we fit really well into. Is one of them is CRM integrations. So if any CRM providers, we know there are a lot of niche CRM providers out there.
Yeah.
If they want to get in touch, and then we can start adding an add from LinkedIn button. That's a really good one. The other thing is using the API. If there are any individuals out there who want to provide CRM, sort of LinkedIn to CRM connections, there are some agencies out there who do that sort of thing. Definitely get in touch if you're one of those, because then we can provide the API for you to connect to customers' accounts and get that into CRMs.
Got it. Perfect. So it's not just using your Chrome extension, but even from the backend, they can integrate automatically. So from salesperson, it's just, as you said, CRMs get outdated quite fast as people are changing jobs. So this can actually, just with a simple click of a button, it can refresh all the leads with the latest information.
Yeah, exactly. And our API is very straightforward to use. And if you connect your account with the extension, then pretty much any action you can do on your LinkedIn profile, you can do through our API. And then you get the benefit of our web crawling infrastructure to do that at a slightly larger scale than you would be able to in your machine. So that's quite helpful there.
Nice. And Adil, the last question that I have is that 2023 is ahead of us. So what are the plans with the leaks? Is it going to be double down on the database technologies, or are you going to go integrating with outreach aspects or CRMs, hopefully?
Well, we've got sort of new product ideas which we want to roll out. I mentioned that, we have experience in machine learning and AI. Those are some of the things that we're hoping to integrate into the product a little bit more in the future. One of the things we're launching fairly soon is org charts. You saw that seniority data, that division data.
Yeah.
We're going to be able to provide top to bottom org charts for pretty much any organization on LinkedIn. And we'll be able to do that through a sort of slightly larger enterprise product. So definitely get in touch if you're interested in top to bottom org charts. And those will be, generated using the LinkedIn data, but also using our models. So that's really cool. The other thing is, we have some ideas more for generative. I say ideas. We're hopefully going to launch next year a little bit more of an infrastructure play. So one of the things we're launching is a product that connects your web forms, so your inbound, with a database of companies, and we will output that information about the company into Slack, into Teams, into whatever sort of messaging system that you have. So as things come in real time, it will put them into those and provide sort of really good information about companies, what sort of revenue they might have, the size of the company, the sorts of people that work there, what industry it's in. So you can act really, really quickly on inbound leads. So less outbound, more inbound, but we still think that it's quite exciting for us.
Nice. So you are focusing more on the AI and the machine learning for 2023, which at the end of the day will give more intelligent data to the users.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
Nice. Well, Adil, we're running out of time. Where can people actually find Lixen and give it a try? What's the website, and do you have any free trial that I can check? I'm also trying to look at the website.
Sure. We have you can head over to lix-it, so lixit.com. And there we have a free tier. So it's not a trial. It's actually an account that you can use. You get 3,000 rows of data a month, and you get 50 emails every month. Like I mentioned, we sort of generate these emails. So we can, you can use this every month. We don't mind. Go ahead.
That's right. If you see the value for the free, imagine what kind of additional value you can get with the premium versions.
Absolutely. We have a free tier on there. You can sign up today. You can use that immediately. You can set up the extension. It's all very, very quick and easy.
Got it. Well, Adil, I'll actually leave the links right after below the video. Usually we leave with the speakers and the URLs that they can use. So other than that, I think that we are closing with this recording. For everybody that is listening, check it out, the Lixit, because I really think that if you're doing outreach and if you're manually collecting the data from LinkedIn, that's really a lot of waste of time. And if you actually smartly combine different tools, like gathering the data and enriching them with the Lixit and then adding it to an outreach platform, whether it's for LinkedIn, whether it's for email, it can really simplify the process at a bulk. As Adil said, if you need 20 to 50 per day, that's more can be done manually. But if you need in hundreds or in thousands per day, well, then you really have to figure out how to utilize the automation. Adil, I really want to thank you for coming and sharing your experience with us. I do wish you have a great day. And for the rest of the listeners, we continue looking for very nice automation tools.
Thank you so much for having me on. I really enjoyed it. And take care.